This conference will now be recorded.
So what we do, we last time we did this half part, right? Tesla, we put a bank ID, we did a search, and it ran, right? And we did a couple of things, right? We said that uh, we used an activity. In that activity, we used obj open, and from that obj open, we opened the records to from the table based on this ID, and then populated here. And so after doing this, we also did that. We said that. This will be a temporary object and not a permanent object, right? So the temporary object is to tell that because we are not creating any records, we are just searching. So we said that. So did you guys all try this at your end? Sudhakar, Samir, Shrikant, and Shrikant must have tried. I don't know.
No, I rewatched the session video, but I meant to try this part, the last one.
Okay, okay. What are Babu and Murli?
Shiva, one question here. This is Samir.
Oh, sure,
Yeah, yeah.
not
So,
yet from my end.
Okay, okay.
hello,
That's all.
Shiva,
Go
this
ahead.
is Samir here. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Could you please go back to that screen wherein you deployed the three sections? My question is like, we use three sections over here. What is the UI
Ah,
tab?
hmm.
So in design tab, yeah. So we use three section, and if you remember, we had only one field over here, and then we kept the search button in another section entirely altogether. My
Yeah.
question is like, why did we? Is it not possible for us to use only two sections? Because the
Yes.
Tesla bank ID, the field that we have, we could have
Yeah.
included
So
the search button within that section itself, right?
yeah, so there are multiple reasons because see, first of all, is that suppose you try that. To do that, you will just create one section, okay, and you put all the buttons here. Okay, so what will happen is when you're trying to search and then when you're trying to populate, okay, it will try to identify two different. See, I'm trying to create two different objects, kind of a page, trying to search from one and trying to put it another. So when you see activities, um, and this whatever you're saying is one of the one of my one of the students was trying that and he got little messed up because he was not able to place it. See, we are first trying to create a page. Okay, this is fine. We are trying to open a records in the database. We are trying to open and then we do a property set. Not only that, we are doing a parameter set, right? We are also getting a parameter and putting that value. So you could actually do with one. You need three sections for sure. Why I'm telling you is if you try to put one section, let me go to the section again. See here, this is kind of a mediator. This link, this button, and I click, it takes this from this section and then try to populate in this section. Right? It's kind of a middle section which is trying to get the two things done at the same time. So if you try to put it here, you won't get the reference of this section. You're getting me? This page, this section is holding one page. This holding section is holding one page, right? So it is two different pages. When I go and click here and say, no, what was that? Our Tesla results sec dot result Tesla results dot bank ID Tesla. So it understands that I'm trying to populate a page here. You getting me what I'm saying? Moreover, if I try to put more controls, suppose this search is of one, right? Suppose I want to put more controls, like at the bank, I have multiple search like or condition here, bank ID or name, search for a bank ID or name or IFC code. Okay, then I click here, and then gives me the result. So there are multiple controls here. Okay, and in the part 2 exercise, we'll be putting more here controls. I'll show you what we are going to do. So it makes more sense to keep three sections and keep it very neat so that things are happening. So because it gets, see, I get reference of this part, I get a reference of this part in separate object, right? Separate entity, right?
Okay.
It makes my control more easier. Suppose you try to put here, it gets messy because you're not able to manage the assignment.
So I just wanted to let you know, because the UIs that I have I designed. Way back when I was working was
Hmm.
I used to only divide it into two sections. One was the input part. Obviously the other one would be our output part. So the second section over here, which reflects the Tesla bank name, bank business type, and all, that would be apparently the output section. But I was a little bit confused with respect to why we have used three sections over here.
Yeah, because it becomes more
If
See, somewhere it becomes more reusable. Na? Suppose I want multiple controls here. Suppose I want multiple fields here, so I don't have to
Okay.
touch this. No? I don't have to touch this, right? There are three functionalities for different functionalities for this. No?
No, I got the service. The third functionality, the third section, I have no complaints about. I mean, I have no questions about it. The first two sections is what kind of making me think. I mean, I understand your point as well, and I think that's much better because you said right. I mean, it would definitely got messed up.
Yeah, and moreover, this screen we are going to reuse many times ahead. Yesterday I was thinking I should have done a customer search, because customer search is what we are going to reuse in something called as harness. We are going to use something called as harness. We are going to work on something called as agents. We are going to work on something called as file listener. Because I was telling you, right, this table we are going to populate through multiple ways. Because suppose you're creating a customer, I'm going to import it. I'm going to create manually. I'm going to create through a file. I'm going to create through agent, right? Multiple sources. That's why I was trying to put I customer. This customer is manually. I miss import. Then I'll put a prefix of f, which is from file. Then we'll put prefix of a, which is from agent. So then we'll understand from where it is coming. And this search screen will be used multiple times. So yesterday that day when I was creating, I was thinking whether we should have created from customer only, but that's fine. We'll use this in a different way. But to Samir, a good point is that keep it separated so that you can add few controls, and these sections are not disturbed. And then you're able to play around with. Suppose you want to do this, right? You have a. I'm just giving you other varied example. Suppose you double click this, and then you have actions. Then you have a refresh. Now here you see target, right? You can define a section also. Harness. There is harness. Harness is like a super sections. Harness is a screen where section is a subset. We'll come to that. Don't worry. But I'm telling you, we can say other section. Okay, it'll ask you which section name. So that way you have more control also. If you want to target a refresh of any specific section. You getting what I'm saying? Suppose you just want to refresh this section. Suppose you want to refresh the whole screen, then it's fine. Just leave it like that. So you have more control of section wise elements, and makes more reusable.
Correct.
Okay, so let's go to fine. Now we'll go to part 2. Before we part 2, we need to do some configuration, because we are reached we did all this, right? We need to do some configuration. So let's do the configuration part first, and then we'll go to part 2. Okay, so what all other configurations? Let's see. Okay, or we'll do this and do the configuration. Okay, let's complete this exercise and then we'll do the configuration. Okay, there are a few configuration things we have to do. Okay, so where are we? So we did this part, right? Creating a page, activity, getting the table, query, results, everything. Okay. So now what I will do is I will add one more here. See where I'm adding. Okay, I'm adding at the just a minute. Let me just go to meeting bar. Okay. Where is the checkbox? See, I'm adding here. I'm adding inside the section. Main section. Okay, I did not touch the other sections because I need it there. So now I'll put it here that okay, it's asking for a property, right? So what I'll do is I'll go here, I'll create a property. I'll create a flag property. Okay. customer exist. Now this is what, this is for bank record, right? Can you create the same for customer also? Because we are going to use it extensively later on. Does bank ID exist? I'm creating a flag property, okay? So the flag will be true or false. True false property. So I'll take that flag property. Then I'll put here. Oh God, I'm always putting customer. Okay, so why I'm putting here is, if I search for a bank ID, suppose I go here, let's see what all bank records we use. So we have all these IDs available, right? Suppose I search for ID which is not available, you know, I will not get I will not get the results here, right? So I need this flag. So I'm just trying to handle that also. So when I click here and say search bank ID, if the customer ID exists, it will come here. If the customer doesn't exist, it will show me this screen. But I'll be handling this through something called as exception. Okay. So I'll show you how to do that. So we have created one. We also will learn something called as, so we'll learn few things today, which is, and we'll see tracer and greater detail. Did you see tracer in greater detail? No. We'll see that. So let's save this. Now what I'll do is, so basically when I click here and click on search, get here, if I put data something which is not correct and click here, this should come, right? How do we handle that? Shrikant, how do we handle this? You understand my point, no? If I put here and click this, if the customer exists, then this should come. If the customer does not exist, then this should come. How do you do that, Shrikant?
I think we need to handle it in activity using maybe jump what you have said yesterday.
No, that is correct. We have to use jump for sure. Now, so we define this variable, no? See, we will define this variable. Does customer exist? Does bank ID exist? Right?
Yeah.
So let's use this variable. Let's use this variable, and okay, so let's do one thing.
We need to set the flag, I think so, right? When on search, if the result is not set, then the flag should update it as false.
Yeah. So let's do one thing. Yeah, I'll put you on mute. 1 second. Okay, so let's do one thing. We'll not create a variable like this, which will be a little confusing. Let this be there. Doesn't matter. We'll use it for some other purpose. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Let's go here. Let's go to our activity, as Sudhakar said. Shrikant said. So here, what we are going to do is, thanks Shrikant, you remembered all this, that we are going to play with the jump. So what we are going to do is, as he said properly, that when I click on this, I'm going to search. I'll get the results here, which is a happy scenario. Now when I click when I enter data, which is where the records are not there, I'm going to get an exception. Okay, so when I get an exception, I need to use something called as jump. So as soon as I open the record, it's going to put this it's going to fetch the record. Now if the records are not there, we are going to get an exception. So how to handle that? We can use this something called as jump. Now when I use jump, it will say enable conditions after search. So let's see our tracer. Okay, now this is my activity. Now let's see what I do. I will go on the tracer first. Okay, so when I on the tracer from, so I will not do this way, sorry. First I'll run from here. So when I run from here, remember I'm running an activity direct from activity. I'm not running from the screen. I'm running direct an activity. You understand, right? What I'm trying to do. There are various ways in PEGA that you can run. If you create a section also, you can run a section from there. If you create an activity also, you can run from there. If you create a report definition also, you can run from there. So that's what the power of PEGA is. You need not run the whole flow from start to end to understand. You can run specific elements to see whether it's correct or not. So right now, when I ran, I'm at the context of an activity I'm trying to run, and as soon as I run, I see this coming. PEGA is automatically giving me the trace and run and clipboard. Now what is this trace? When you're on this trace, remember you're actually tracing. See, if you look here, it is actually tracing the activity, and it will not trace the whole rest of the application, which is good because you don't want the messages to come here with the rest of the application and then clutter your screen and then try to make of it. So just on the tracer, keep it down. Now it is asking for the bank ID. Okay, clipboard I will start it after I run it so that I understand what are the values which are coming. So I'll go here and sorry, just a minute. Where is that? Okay, so where's my screen? So here I'll put the ID and search. Okay, and then let's see what happens. So it is similar like passing the bank ID. So I'll put sorry, I'm juggling between screens. Let me see cust 01. Okay, so I'm going to put here cust 01 because that is basically that is going to be get passed and coming here. Just basically as running as this, right? So I'll just run. There has been an issue. What happened?
I think we need to search as a bank ID, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always confused because I've been using that one, always. That is where my focus is all bang, 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 bang. Okay, so let's do it again. So but we need to create for a bank also, sorry, customer also, because I said right we need to use it in multiple places, but we'll worry about that later. TB01, fine. Again I'll go actions, run. Okay, I hope there is no multiple tracers on. I'll on the tracer. Give some time for the tracer to actually start and initialize. I'll put TB01 and then I'll trace. Oh God, what I'm doing? I'll run. Operation completed successfully. So let's look at the tracer. So again, so tracer is exact a copy of what you actually defined. Tracer is a copy of what you defined here. So tracer will go from bottom top while your activity will run from top to bottom. So you set page new TB page. So this will be your primary page, run record primary page, which will be always open. This is a landing page, right? For PEGA to actually, it's like a container page to do all the things. So it will create a page for you first for the sake of it. So it will create some page and that's called as a run record primary page. Then it will create a page TB page which you define here. Okay, so you can click, so you have to go to open the tracer and try to click at various places. So it is not that you click at one row and it opens. If you click at different places, different pages will open. So if I look at this, click at this one TV page, it will show you this page at this level. See, I'm at the second step. Okay, so it says, see, Tesla bank ID. It has actually taken the cust01 parameter inside and put in the bank ID parameter. So you'll understand how the tracer is functioning. Then you go here, page new. So it's just saying step and begin and begin. Each step begin and is there. You can go to the begin and check. You can also go to the end and check because it will tell you what all things it did. So what it did, it created a page. So it created the reference of the see, we created a reference of the object, right? So it has given everything, Tesla, PEGA, insurance, New York branch, has collected everything because I think it's opened the records. One second. Sorry. So let's open this and see. So yeah, this is what we saw, right? Then you can see OBJ open also. When you click on OBJ open, then you see, this is all kind of internal stuff which you need to worry. But it's all saying good status. It's trying to open a page. Okay, primary page. So the same thing which you saw. Okay. Now what is this? This is your parameter which you passed. Okay. Then property set. Now let's look at this. So it did a property set again back to the the primary one. So this is the results page, right, where it went and put all these values. So you should open the tracer and play around with these things. Then you will know how. So each and everything has a. These are not errors. It's just a stack trace of the events that have happened. Fine. So play around with that. Always remember here, the activities are from top to bottom. Here you have to read from bottom to top. Okay. Now let's see the clipboard part. Where's that guy gone? So where you find, we always have to go to, PY work page is a landing page. Here remember, we are running directly an activity, so you won't find that coming through here. When you see, you understand what I'm saying, na? Here we are running direct from activity. That's why PY work page you won't find. If you run from the flow, if you run this flow, then the PY work page will come. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? We are directly running the activity. Now if I run this flow, you'll see that. So there tracer makes more sense because you're tracing that activity. Here clipboard makes more sense when you're running this. So this we have to work on. Okay, so now if I go and open clipboard, so I would see here PY work page, and if I open this, you remember what I told you, you're running a flow. So that times when I run a flow, it actually starts with PY work page, then it like a container page, right? Then it puts my pages inside and then it runs it, right? Because you're running a flow. In activity, it is kind of on the fly test, right? When I ran an activity, it was kind of on the fly test. So it won't create all those container page to hold everything. It'll just say run primary page and over there. So these are the two pages which I created. This I showed you last time, right? So that is that. Now let's play around with our bank ID does not exist. So what I said is we'll not create a here variable like this. I will rename it in a different fashion. So what I'll do is this is my section, and when I click on this, my results should come here. And if the results are not coming, that means bank ID is not there. So when the results are not coming, when the records are not opened, I'll get an, it will throw an exception. Okay, so you have to catch that exception. So basically we are getting an error here. Okay, so I'll play with that. I'll create a property called as let's say there's error in Tesla bank search. Okay, because the way I put here will make more sense when I actually put it. I'll show you. Same flag property. Okay, so it's error in TB search. Okay, so I'll go here to my okay. Now, so there is something called as method status. If you look at my notes, there is something called as method status. So what happens is any activity which runs, there's a class called as method status, and in that class there is py status. I think it's py. There is a status variable. I think. I mean, we don't have to remember all this, but what I'm saying is when an activity runs, it actually has a class called as method status, and in that method status, so I think it's method status is a field value. You can check that, but method status has different values. If the step executes successfully, then its step status good. If the method executes with an issue, it puts a step status fail, and there is something called a step status warn and all those other things which we do not worry now. Right now we'll place with something called a step status good and step status fail. So here, as soon as this activity is run, if it's a happy scenario, everything, all the steps will return step status good. If there is a failure scenario, it will return step status fail. So how do you use that? So as I said, when is like a precondition, jump is like a post condition. Post condition is like post scenario. So as soon as it's open and it fails, we have to go one second. So as soon as it fails, it'll suppose you do the records are not found, it'll actually go to jump. You have to enable this condition. So I'll enable this condition. So it will say when. So I put your step status. So if you see here, there are different things like warning, step test logs. So there are different step status which are returned by the method status field. So we'll use, so if the step is returning well without issue, this is what is automatically the system returning. But now in case, so this is like in case, right? Enable this condition after this action in case there is a failure. In case there is, it's a when condition. As soon as if the records are not found, this will be returned. So what do I say? I'll say that no, you come out of the activity, because if there are no records, there are other events like continue, skip events, jump. This it can jump to like L2 level. You can skip this step. Okay. Right now, what we'll do? We'll say exit activity and we'll stop it. Okay. So what will happen? Your customer search will happen. If everything is good, it'll populate here. If the customer search doesn't result anything, then we don't want this section. We want that label to come. Okay, as well as we don't want this to be executed, right? That's why we said jump exit activity. Okay, that is to say just come out of this, don't do any property set. Okay, so we'll say this. Now you also have to remember that so this error, one second, sorry guys, a lot of cough. So we use this variable is error to make sure that we control the section with the flag. Okay, so how will you use the flag? So see, this what I'm trying to do. You can also do the same thing. So first, as soon as the form loads, this is error TB flag is false as soon as the forms load. So that means there is no error. So when this happens, when the exception happens, the error is there, right? So, and as soon as this step is executed, it comes out. It never touches this step. So, condition imagining that there is an error, and this after the second step it exits out. I will add one step here, like a property set, and I'll mention that there is error. So when the activity gets executes, one second. I'm really sorry, I got a little cough. So when the activity starts, this property set will be done because it says that there is error, and then this will be, you'll not get any records. I'm talking about a failure situation. When this comes, we'll say there is a failure. It opens this, it's a failure, exits out. So the error flag is set to true. Now imagine the true situation. There is no error. We are in a happy scenario. It comes here, it sets the flag error is there. That is fine. Let it set. Then it comes here, opens the record. Okay, everything is fine. Then it comes here. Now if the error is set to true, then we cannot, there is no error, because as soon as we reach here, there is no error. So I'll add one step here, and I'll do a property set again. I'm doing this to play around with the section one. I'll show you how it works. Just hold on with the questions. Right, we'll just hold on with the questions. We'll see. So I'll do again here, primary dot is false. Okay. So as soon as, if in the happy scenario, everything will come down and the error will be false. So no, there is no error. If it comes here, if in the unhappy scenario comes here, error is true, and then from here it exits out. It won't even touch these two. That's why error is true. So we have two conditions: error is false, error is true. So so we'll go back to our section now. This one. So what we'll do, we'll go to visibility, go here. Now we used when condition. Now we'll use this. We'll say, so show this when there is error, right? When the error means there are no records. Put a dot because it has to come to the existing context and not the page. We'll put equal to true. So we are playing with expression. Okay. So if the error is there, show this. Now what about this? Double click this, the whole section I'm double clicking. Okay, so Samir, coming back to a whole question, initial question also, I can tamper the section based on the, manipulate the section based on the true or false condition. So where is visibility, condition, expression? Now this should be visible when, this should be visible when there is no error. This should be visible when there is error. And what else is there is, what else we want to do? Yeah, so here anyway we're refreshing this section, right? So this is good. Are we forgetting anything? Maybe we can say read only, because this we don't want text boxes, right? We just want a read only. All set. Let's run and see. So I'll go for the happy scenario. Now I'll go with the unhappy scenario or unhappy or failure scenario. I'll put TB04. Okay. Now, why did I put this checkbox? My mistake. Yes. Clear, guys? You guys understood how to handle? You guys understood how we play around with this activity? How we set the flags? You guys are there.
Yes, sure.
Samir, Shrikant, Sudhakar, all fine.
Yeah, we are here.
So run the tracer at different levels. See, when we run this flow, we have different scenarios. Run the tracer different levels. See how it responds. Okay, how you see the step status flag. Okay, everything you can find out when you run the tracer and check it out. And use the clipboard also. Okay, so one question for you for an exercise. I'll give you a few exercises as we go ahead, but one question actually. Uh, so when I run this flow, try to find out that answer. Okay, maybe in the next class is also fine. So when I run this flow, I ran this flow, right? Let me open the clipboard, and then I see everything. No? I can see my work page. I can see my right. I can see everything which I put, right? What if I want to trace? See, what I see here is basically the section which is being which is being powered, the fields which have been populated. Now, what if I want to? I have a parent, so I'm passing a parameter, right? In my when I created this section, I designed a parameter, right? And in that parameter, the activity took the parameter. When I click this, the activity took this parameter, right? And from this parameter, I'm doing all this kind of things. Now, how do I trace? Suppose this parameter is used in multiple places. Which tool do I trace to use? Which tool do I use to trace this parameter? Is it clipboard? Is it tracer? Is it live UI? Is it alerts or issues, whatever they call? You understand my question? Which PEGA tool do I use to trace this? Suppose this is used in multiple places. I want to find out the value of this as it goes, right? This when I run this activity, this value is being used in multiple places. The value must be changing because it's a parameter. Which tool do I use to trace this parameter? That's an important question. So, which may come in interview anytime. You got my question, guys? Do you have the answer now? If you have the answer now, it's good. Shrikant has answer now.
I think it should be live UI.
No, it is not like. So let
I
me
think
put
we
you on
can
mute.
trace it through clipboard. I think so.
So if you can trace it through clipboard, next class show me where you can trace. Live UI is not the answer because live UI we are not yet done. So I won't ask you that question. But it's a definite question which people will try to now confuse you. But it's not clipboard. If it is clipboard, show me where. And show me how we can trace. Show me how where you find the value. So do some research. Okay. And it's an important question. So that will help you to see how things flow in PEGA. So good exercise, guys. Part 1, part 2 done. So let's do a bit of tweaking. So tweaking in the sense, not tweaking, basically configuration. So what we'll do now is first thing, okay. First we'll create a version. Okay. Now what will go here? We will go here. We will. My recording is going on. Did I start the recording? Yeah. Any questions, guys? Murari, Samir, Shrikant, Sudhakar, Babu. You guys will practice this, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, so let's do one thing. We'll go and do some configuration. So first thing what we'll do is, because since we have finished 2 or 3 exercises, we are going to create a version. We need a version because we are going to do packaging. These versions will be very important. So you see this rule sets. So let's talk about all this. So ID, you see this ID, and then you have result version and the rule set. What is the rule set? So you'll see this application rule set. Tesla Auto, in Tesla. So this is kind of a application. So your result will always come with a version number. Tesla Auto 0101, Tesla Auto int is for integration layer. Okay. This is with the application. This is the organization level. This is the application level. So why do we have these rule sets? Results basically define, whenever you create anything in PEGA. For example, you created this Tesla bank. It is actually attached to this rule set, Tesla Auto. So you can define. Suppose you define any integration components, you can actually go and attach to the rule set of Tesla. It will automatically attach to Tesla int, or you can attach to Tesla int. You can attach to. Now, what are these rule sets? So rule sets are basically, it's even the name. If you see rule set, it's kind of every rule that you create an application is actually tagged to a rule set, and the rule set defines your version. Okay, so whenever you create new versions of the application, all these rules, suppose you're going from, see now the current version which you see here is 0.0.010001. This is the base version which PEGA has given you. Now you can go from, let me click on rule sets. Okay. So PEGA has given you have to click on the rule set. Remember, I went navigated to the definition and then I clicked on the rule set. You can go to rule set is available everywhere. You can just click on the rule set and take it ahead. So PEGA is given you 010101. Like what are these? This is very minor version. This is minor version. This is a major version. So you can, whenever you create versions in application, you can go and define based on your sprint release whether it's a minor or a major or very major release. So you can go from 99 to 99 to 99 releases in your application. So when I say major, I mean having 99 major releases is like having 99 years of work or maybe 50 years of work or whatever. So major releases are not happening every year. Maybe it's happening, in organizations it happens 2 or 3 releases major in a year. So minor versions could be many, and a little major one could be many. So these are the versions which goes on increasing as you do different kind of releases in the system. and these versions are tied to the rule set. When you create a rule, this rule set version and a rule is always tagged. Why? Because see, suppose I created this flow. Now, if you look at this flow, it is tied to the version rule set Tesla Auto 010101. Okay. Now, if I lock, now if I want to, now if I say this is the situation that I'm moving this, whatever I created in this application, I want to move it to production. Now, if I move to production, I will say 0101, this 010101 work is done. So as soon as I move it to production, 0101 work is done and I lock it so that nobody can edit that. Now, suppose I want to do any changes here, then I have to move this to 010102 version and then do changes. And then when the change is done, then I move it to production as 010102. So each rule in an application, when I said rule, PEGA feature is tagged to a rule set which defines your version. So that's why we have the version. Now, since we have done a few work, we will imagine that we are moving this to production and we are locking this version and we are creating a new version. So how do we create a new version? Because this version is important when I do packaging. Then you'll understand, when I'm packaging, how I'm picking up the versions. That's why we have to do this. So I'll add a row here. So I'm creating a new version. See, this was 010101. I'm creating a 0102. You can give any number, but I'll just keep it as this. Look at this description also. All your rules were, saying that 01. Whenever I create now, it will tag to this new version. So you see, it's coming like this, and it shows this is the date we started our exercise, I guess, and this shows today's date from where this will be applicable. Now, it shows 71 rules, all the rules that we created in the system at this version. What I can do is, I can lock and save this. So when I lock and save, it seems that it tells me that, this version is moved to production and no longer you can change it. Okay. Before you do this, you have to do one more activity. So you see a correct sign here. So, okay, we are not done check in, check out. We'll see that later. This will not result to anything because check in, check out has to be done, which will enable now. After this will enable. So let me logins. Give always password rules so that later on, if you want to unlock, you will not forget it. So I locked it. You see this? So what I'm saying is, so this version is locked. So whatever I created till now was in this version. Now this, whenever I create a new one, it will has to come in this version. Okay, so I'll save this. I'll accept this. Okay. Now one more configuration I will do. I'll go and click again on this one. So I see locked and unlocked. I'll go to the security. There's something called as use check-in, check-out. You guys know what is a check-in, check-out? Samir?
Shiva, there's some sort of disturbance, so just a
Sorry? You want to repeat the question? I didn't get that.
No, I thought you had asked me some question.
Yeah. So you know what is a check-in, check-out?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, can you just tell me?
So whenever we are trying to modify some rules, and if you want to, if you don't want that to be affected in the production system, then you do a checkout so that no one else is altering that particular rule or using it. So after you check it back in, that's when you have the option of including it in your production. Otherwise, it will become a nightmare.
Right. So I'll just put just for the sake of it, people you might all know, but just for the sake of it. See, what will happen is, this is my PEGA server. Okay, this is my PEGA server, and this you can have multiple nodes. Okay, I'm just trying to take one node, and then I have Samir who is working on it, then Srikant is working on it, and then Purari is working on it. So what will happen is, if Samir is working on search functionality, search flow, so what will Samir do? Now Samir is basically going to take that code, and first, what he will do, Samir? First, you will do checkout, right? You have to remember from the server context. First he will do checkout. So once he does checkout, he will do all his work. He'll complete his work. After his work is completed, he will do check-in. So when he does check-in, the code will go back to the server. Right? So this kind of a versioning or VS is kind of a concept. So similarly, now Srikanth can pick up that flow search functionality, and then once he picks up, Srikanth has to first check out so that the code flows here. Srikanth has to first check out, and once he completes the work, then he has to check it back so that another person can pick up. So during the check-in checkout, Srikanth is actually locking that flow and working on it. Right? If somebody else tries to work on it, it won't be able to do. There are various other ways to do that, but I'm just telling you in a proper scenario. So that is check-in checkout makes the code very manageable because one person is working on the code at one time and the changes have gone to the server. Another person takes the code at one time and goes back to the server. And suppose you want to do a release, suppose you're doing a sprint release. So you'll say, okay, my work is done. 30 December has passed. My work is done. I want to release to production. Okay. So when I release to production, I will always take only the checked in code. Right? Because checkout code people might be working in. So I'll only take the checked in code and then make my what do you call package. Then I package it and then release to prod. Okay, so this check-in is very important because check-in checkout helps us to understand which code is available on the server and ready to be moved. And before any release, we make sure that everything is checked in based on the whatever we want to release. And when we do a packaging will only take checked in records. It won't take checked out records. So it is very important that we check in. Suppose this is a 30 December deadline that all the code should be ready. So you basically Samir will check in whatever is done, Srikanth will check in, Sumara will check in, and then the package will done and the code will be moved. Okay, if the code is not ready, then you should not check in, right? Whatever is because you are trying to move in production or any other QA like a UAT environment for customer. So make sure that your code is ready to be released. You understand what I'm saying, guys? Clear of the concept of check-in, check-out. Babu, clear now? Sudhakar.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why we'll just in PEGA it's very simple. You just need to put a use checkout. Okay, and then save it. Okay, now what will happen is now suppose I am creating anything new. Suppose I'm creating a new property or anything. So when I create a new property, see this version which has been tagged to. I got this 010102. My 002 is locked. Now, if I open, let me close everything. Now, if I try to open existing flow or same flow, you'll see the 010101. Okay. Now I'm not see this all grayed out, right? Because I locked this version. Now to do any changes here, I have to do a save as. When I do a save as, I'll bring that to a newer version. Just give it the same thing. I'm bringing to a new version and then create an open. So it is bringing from 01 to 002 and then I can do my changes. Okay, that's how we locked that version. Clear? And once you lock that version, you'll see 0102 and then you can do any changes you want. Okay, now 00 since I saved this, 002 will be picked up in my application here. Okay, also see this, you got this new button called as check-in. Okay, so now what is in the check-in? It is asking me to put it back to the server. So I'll say check-in, it'll ask me some comments. Okay, so it goes back to the server. Then again, if I want to change, what I'll do, I have to first get it out of the server. Okay, you see this lock, right? I have to get it out of the server. I get it out of the server. I do my changes. I get it. I save it. Yeah, get it inside the server. You getting what I'm saying? Check out, check it. So try to use checkout, check in, because when we do a product release, you should have some rules which are checked in, some rules are checked out. So it becomes an ideal situation for us to understand which rules to move, which not to move, and what to take care of it. Make sense, guys? So to this configuration, there is few other configuration which we'll focus in next class. Few other configurations like so I'll show in next class all those kind of things. Good for today, all of you.
Yes.
And do you guys want to go 90 minutes, or is it like 1 hour is all good for you, all of you?
1 hour is enough, Shiva, because 90
Okay.
minutes means like it will be cut short for me.
Okay, no problem. We'll keep 1 hour. In case you want to go, tell me, okay, anytime. Okay, guys, have a good day. Enjoy. We'll talk tomorrow. But please practice
You
this
too.
well. We'll next class we'll go in some other multiple levels. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.